Welcome to It Matters Radio. I'm Ken Ween, and my co-host, as always, is the wonderful and delightful Monica Brinkman. Hi, Monica.
Hi, Ken. Hope you're well today.
Yes, of course, like everybody in America, I'm worried about health issues, and I'm bored, and I want to go out and party, and I want to go out to the beach, and I want to go to a play and all those things, but we shall persevere.
Yes,
right?
We'll get through this.
Our guest today is movie producer Lissa Forehan, and Lissa is a good friend of a wonderful friend of mine and of yours, Monica, the author Melissa Price.
Yes, we love Melissa.
And so Melissa suggested that we have Lissa on because Lissa just recently co-produced a movie. It's called More Beautiful for Having Been Broken. And she co-produced it with Nicole, Conn, who is also the author and director of this movie. And as I was telling Lissa before, sometimes we don't get to both read a book or both spend a lot of time, but both of us did spend time watching this delightful, heartwarming Japanese movie. And of course, that's a playfulness on my part. But it is not Japanese in the sense it doesn't take place in Japan. Actually, it takes place in the mountain states of the Rocky Mountains. I guess it could be Colorado, it could be Wyoming, Montana. What state is it?
It's a little town just outside of LA. It's called Pine Mountain.
Oh,
But it does have that quaint small town feeling like somewhere in Colorado or somewhere outside of California.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even realize that California has towns like this. They're very diversified. So yeah.
Right, and they're not easy to find, but
No.
Okay. And so it's not Japanese in that sense, but the thinking behind it is Japanese. And if you ever go to a ceramics exhibit, you may very well find a kind of ceramics, the Japanese, and I get out my cheat sheet here to make sure I'm saying words even approximately correctly, kintsugi, and it's an art in which ceramics that are broken are repaired not invisibly, but just the opposite. Actually, a lacquer is used to glue it together, and then the lacquer is infused with gold or silver or platinum dust. And this is all a part of a Japanese notion of beauty, and that is the idea behind the whole notion of this movie, which was not its original title. The working title was something else. In fact, Lissa, I think you were very instrumental, weren't you, in coming up with this beautiful title?
Well, yes, we had a working title before. Nicole had written the script when I met her, and then it really wasn't until we were in the editing room that we sat back and had the film all together at this point. And this was maybe 4 or 5 years down the line. It was a long process putting the film together, and thought, because this word kintsukuroi, or there's numerous ways of saying it, but was a word that I learned many years ago when I was visiting in Japan. My son played basketball there, and it had such a beautiful meaning, which is more beautiful for having been broken. And like you explained, with the ceramic pieces broken and put back together with the gold, they take on an even more beautiful appearance. So I embraced that word, and it was very meaningful to me during a real hard time in my life when I experienced some tragedies. And when I met Nicole, she was coming through some tragedies of her own, and I shared that word as some inspiration. So, as she often does, she weaves things into her films from various people in her life. And so this word became a little bit woven into the storyline to some degree, but it wasn't until we were in the editing room we sat back and went, and Nicole said it first, how about, because we were thinking of Kintsukurai, but we thought it might mislead people.
Right.
So we thought, she said, how about more beautiful for having been broken? And that, again, that's the meaning of it. And I said, I had thought of that, but I thought it might be too long. And then but you know what? The essence of the film. So
it's not too long. It's actually what caught my eye. I was like, okay, I have to know what they're talking about on this.
Yeah. It's more than, though, I think, more than just the essence of the film and more than this beautiful ceramic work. It really is at the heart of a great deal of Japanese Buddhism, because it is about the acceptance of all of the things we can't change, and that the moment and the pain are part of the whole. And we in this country so often think if something isn't perfect, we have to make it perfect. And so we have this multi-billion-dollar plastic surgery business in which people are constantly trying to make themselves perfect rather than learning that they may be more beautiful for having an imperfection.
Wow, that was well said. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the beauty of it's so woven into the film in so many different layers. But then in addition to that, if you think about what's going on in the world today, in a lot of ways, it's very inspirational. It's like, we're really pulling everything apart right now. And hopefully in time, when things come back together, we'll be bigger and more beautiful for having been through this.
And I think we will. It's something we're going to have to get through. But it also, I can give you an example. Of course, our house burned down during the California campfires, and we went to the rubble. Wow. And my two most cherished things in my heart right now are two things. They're not perfect. They've been through the fire, but they're so beautiful. To me personally.
Right? Symbolic.
Exactly. And, I proudly have them on my mantle, for everybody to see.
That's a perfect example.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just hope, Monica, that you and I, I'm plugging us a little here, as I so often do, but that it matters. I believe that It Matters Radio is, well, we may not make it to being gold dust. Maybe we'll just have to settle for silver, but I hope that we are part of that mending process.
Yes.
Put things back together. Now that word actually, if I recall, don't you have that tattooed?
Oh, right. Yeah, I do, on my arm. Right here. Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, executive producer, we had some great executive producers. One was Jane Goldstein, and the other is Chiquita Jones, and she lives in Australia, and she also got it tattooed. And there's kind of a funny story. She had the working title tattooed initially, and when we changed it,
all the way down her arm.
She's like, I hope you don't change it again. I'm running out of limbs. So. Actually, and a couple other people that have seen the film have embraced the word and talked about getting tattoos. I'm not sure whether they have or not, but
I like the idea of getting that word tattooed on, because when you're going through these things or anything happens, you can just look at that and realize, yes, it's going to be okay.
Yeah,
it is okay. And that brings up, the star of this movie for me. He's not listed first in the list, but but the star is a young man named Cale Ferrin, who very much embodies that notion that we can be more beautiful for having been broken. And I wanted, Lisa, I wanted to get you to talk a little about him. And I'm going to anticipate a little bit because you and I have talked before. Monica, there is a series of videos of this young man approaching people and talking to people on the street when they were considering making a movie, and he and his mother and Lisa and Nicole were all together, and his interactions with the community. And folks, as you already know, if you're regular followers, during the week, we post something extra. That's one of the reasons you have to follow us on YouTube, so that you know when these things come up, the surprises. Well, anyway, I have already asked Lisa to try and arrange for us to get some of that footage because, well, I'm going to let her talk about Cale now, and then you'll understand why.
I fell in love with that character.
Yeah.
How could you not?
We kind of have three leads in the film, and it's two women, adult women, and then one young boy, and he is amazing. He is, I believe when we were filming, he was 9 or 10, and he has a very rare, he's a young guy with special needs. Let's see, it's called Fanconi anemia. And just a small percentage of people are born with this, and it's a blood issue that he's had like, I don't even remember how many, 20 to 30 surgeries by the time he was 10 years old.
Wow.
He's been through a lot in his little 10 years. And, but he has a charisma that is infectious. And we took him out. He and his mom is amazing too. I mean, these moms. See, Nicole wrote this script as a tribute to her own kids. She has a son with special needs as well. So we took Cale Ferrin, who plays Freddie in the film, out in front of a cafe one day and thought, well, let's just see if, let him go up to people and ask people if they know what a nesting doll is, because that's one of the little things that's in the film that Nicole's daughter, Gabrielle, who plays herself in the film, collects. So he asked people, do you know what a nesting doll is? And we took, we videoed it, we took a little boom box, and I was nervous at first because I thought in LA people are going to be in a hurry and they're not going to, they might blow him off. He had everybody in the he had people dancing, and we do have footage, and I will give it to you. So if y'all follow them, sometime during the week, I will get it to you, and you can put that up because it's really amazing to see his magic. So I was hoping that we would be able to capture that charisma in the film, and we have. So
absolutely.
Yeah, he's magical, and that's pretty much what the essence of the story is his impact on people's lives, and just how special these young people are that are often walked right past, ignored, bullied, not paid attention to. They really, hold this little nugget of gold, and that's pretty much what we were going to convey.
When I was in grade school, there was a friend of mine who had the exact same thing.
Oh.
And it was horrifying how he was treated by the other kids. And because I would walk with him and he was my friend, I didn't care, that he had this disability or difference, let's just say. So they would bully me also. And he got depressed and such. And what I find uplifting in your film is the way that the character doesn't get depressed over them. I mean, a little bit, but he takes what he has and he uses it in a positive way. And I think that is such a learning experience for anyone else who is going through this.
Absolutely. And that's the message when Nicole wrote the script that she wanted to convey. Because her son, Nicholas, she also wrote a film called Little Man, which is a documentary of when Nicholas was born. And that's what she discovered from him, is that he saw the world so different than the rest of us. And if you can take a moment and sit next to him and see the world through his eyes for a moment, it brings you into the moment. All of us are like so busy, and it's a gift. These young people have gifts that are just incredible. So I'm glad that you were able to see that. You know, when we first shot the film, we didn't have. There's a scene in there that shows a little bit of what you were talking about. How when life doesn't go so smoothly for him.
Right.
People that look different and appear different and act different. And we went back in discussing it. Nicole and Kale's mom discussed the first take of the film, and Nicole asked Brittany, Kale's mom, is there anything else that you'd like to see, any other message you'd like to convey? And she started sharing the incidences of him having been bullied in school and how harshly he had been treated. So we went back on our reshoots and we redid it. We added in a scene. We didn't redo it. We added in a scene.
Added it in. Yeah, I think it's necessary for people to realize, you know, what their actions do to others.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, and his resilience. Oh, it was very hard shooting that scene for him.
I'm sure.
Very difficult, and
It must have been, yeah.
therefore, what he conveys is coming from his own experience. That, you know, he's just a beautiful ambassador, has a lot of courage to have even taken that on, but he speaks for so many people.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. And of course, Freddie is not the only one who is broken in the film. And I want to mention, this is a film about, it's also a film about these two women, their issues, about accepting of self, about learning to accept one's own sexuality. And those of you who know Melissa and have seen her on the show, you know, Melissa's one of the outstanding lesbian authors. I used to call her a lesbian romance author, but now she has gone way beyond romance. So, but you know, her novels, and of course they're published by Bella, which is a house that's very devoted to making us aware of alternative styles of living.
An incredible writer.
Yes, she is.
Lovely.
Great personality, too.
I love getting to know her.
But one of the things that was involved was, you know, accepting who you are and realizing, and this is the part of the message, that sometimes the things that we think are broken in us not only make us stronger, but they aren't broken to begin with. It's just that we have to learn to realize, hey, it ain't broke, it's me.
Yes, good point. Good point. And it is true that this is about, the storyline is about a woman who's quite distraught about having lost her mother. And so she takes a little jaunt back to a small town that her mother used to take her when she was a child. And that's where she meets little Freddie. And he actually becomes quite an inspiration. And so that's the gist of the story to begin with. And I can't say a whole lot more because I don't want to get it.
Right.
But yeah, we don't want to spoil this movie for you folks, because absolutely you want to go see it. I mean, this is not, you know, this isn't a movie, oh, well, I heard them talk about it, so now I don't have to see it, because the movie evokes in people, at least it did for me, it evoked in me such intense awareness and tender emotions. And one of the wonderful things, and I don't want to explore it too much because I don't want spoilers, but one of the most wonderful things in the movie is the use of dance. Not in the usual way, you know, dance, but really as a way of gaining insight. And years ago, I remember the first time I saw Oklahoma, and I was blown away by the fact that they had used ballet to help understand and appreciate the movement of the story. And this is not so much ballet, it's more modern dance, but it is used in that same way, and it is very unique to find that in movies, that kind of dance as a way of understanding. And I will mention, by the way, that Lissa Forehan does dance a bit in it. And by the way, folks, if you do see it, one of the things you'll notice is that he spends a great deal of time in a motorized chair. And I know from having talked with Lissa that actually he really gets around quite adequately on his own. And that was just to help create the sense of drama.
Character, yeah.
But when you see him dancing and you see the dance and you understand what it's about, and we're not going to spoil by telling you what it's about, but when you see the dance, it really will open your heart.
Yes.
It added so much, and the flow of it was just perfect.
Oh, well, thank you. Know that. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, sometimes you'll watch a movie and it's like, oh, well, they just put this in there. You know it. It's like, why is that even there? The way that whoever did the editing and such made it such a transition that it just became part of the story. And that's difficult to do.
Yes, that was Nicole's vision, and that was her idea. And then Kayla Radomski, who plays Sam, the other lead, one of the leads, is a choreographer. And she worked very closely with Nicole. And she is a dancer. And she, in So You Think You Can Dance, she was one of the finalists. And she's quite a dancer. So they work together on, there's a couple dance scenes, and yes, Kale is amazing, and the dance scenes came out beautifully.
Oh yeah, kudos to her. And she.
Hey, Monica, let's find something negative to say about this movie. I can't. Can you think?
No, you know how we get things all the time. It's okay, here's a movie, let me look at it. I was pleased and so happy that I was able to even view this movie, that, you know, I was privileged enough to do that. And a lot of times it's like, oh, the movies are okay. But you not only used a wonderful storyline on this, which is, if I understand, based on real life.
Well, it's a tribute to Nicole's kids, so it's not her life story, but it's a tribute to them. And yes, she has a son with special needs, and then Gabrielle, her daughter, plays Gabrielle in the film.
Yeah, it did excellent, but it was just surprising to me, pleasantly surprising, that it was an outstanding film. It wasn't just an okay film. You know, I enjoyed it. This is one that has to this day stuck in my head.
Oh,
and it's one I will talk to other people about.
But you know, Monica, here's the thing. We have to tell people how they're going to get to see it, because, gosh darn, the movie theaters are closed. This is a movie, I mean, like here in Tucson, we have this really high-end arts movie theater called The Loft. And, you know, I'd be banging on their doors right now saying, you've got to show this movie. But you won't be able to get an audience in here to do it. Now, I think some, like The Loft, they actually are doing some streaming. But for the most part, people are doing their movies through places where they buy the movies online to view. And so, with that intro, Lissa, how can people watch?
Yes.
More beautiful.
It's on Amazon Prime, and it's also, if you go to our website, which is morebeautifulmovie.com, you can find it on a number of different platforms, as well as all around the world. Nicole's got a global fan base, and so we've got a fabulous distributor, Vision Distribution. It has got the film, and we've got it all over the world, and it has won a number of awards, and that's like the best we could hope for. I'm really happy to hear that the emotion translated, because that's what we were working towards, is building that in. And the message is so powerful. That's why it's nice to know after all of our hard work, you put it out there, and it's nice to get the feedback and know that our message has been transmitted and people are picking that up, and it stuck with you. I mean, that's
yes,
what we want, right?
it's one I would watch, several times, not even just twice. Well,
Yeah, that's a Nicole Conn film. People watch her films over and over again. They're very.
Go ahead, Ken. I'm sorry.
I say they're very rich. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't going to say it. Yeah, they are. It is a film that I certainly watch again, and I have recommended to people. I mean, since I've seen it, I've recommended it to a number of people. I just think it's uplifting, important, beautiful, heart touching. What can I tell you?
And people don't have to, I think it's a really good film for anyone who is dealing with someone who has some sort of difference. I'm not even going to call it a disability anymore, just difference.
Yeah.
'Cause my niece has EB, and it's a very rare disease, and she unfortunately has to wrap her little arms up with cloth because she looks like a burn victim, even though it has nothing to do with being burned. But for her to see something like this, in such a positive light, would just make her stronger to fight, and I think any mom or whatever who has a child who is a little different, they really can get a lot out of this film, and I'm so happy you made it.
Let's go the other way for a minute here, Monica.
All right.
And talk about the mom who has a kid who isn't a little bit different and who maybe wants their child to understand that people can be beautiful and resilient and wonderful even if they aren't quite normal, whatever that means. And I think in this case, I think that's really important for us to remember that, and one of the things that I know Monica has, and we have one here in our home as well, but a while back, we were doing a show from a program here in Tucson that specializes in working with neurologically impaired adults through art. And as Monica had mentioned, she lost so many wonderful things. So I had one of the clients there do a sculpture of Monica's cat that had thankfully not died in the fire. She had passed earlier, but Punky was an important part of It Matters Radio.
Yes.
And so I sent that, and I liked it so much what Vicky had done. Vicky was the young artist, that I then had her do a duck for my wife, who is quite wild about ducks.
Well, you broke up a little bit, but you were saying that she had done a duck for your wife.
Oh yeah, my wife is quite wild about rubber ducks. And
that's
a whole
story.
That's a whole other story. Yes, and we can talk about that sometime. But the point I was making is that sometimes the people who are in some way broken, they're not only more beautiful for having been broken, but they bring beauty to us, and we become more beautiful for having come in contact with them. And that's why I would like, again, to say, if you have a youngster, especially middle school age, something from like about 5th grade through about 9th grade, if you have a youngster and you want them to understand what it means to live in a world that is based on light and love, this is a movie to sit down and watch with them and talk about with them.
Absolutely. A producer friend of mine that I used to work for quite a while, he saw it, he loved it, and what he said he's never seen so many different kinds of love in one film.
Yes.
All kinds of love connections throughout the film. So it does convey that. For young people, it's fabulous.
So one more time, folks, because we're going to run out of time, but we want to, and we will have a trailer for this movie,
Right.
so you can get just a sample, and then go and look for it on Prime or look for the website. The movie is called More Beautiful for Having Been Broken.
And you'll be able to see the links underneath the podcast also. That'll be there forever. So we try to make it as easy as possible to get to it for you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Our pleasure. And thank you for joining us on It Matters Radio. Lissa, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yes.
Okay, folks, let's take a look at a sample. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You almost got yourself killed, not to mention your backup.
I know what I'm doing.
I can see the fear in your eyes.
Baby, let her go.
You're off the case. Off duty, 90 days.
Hey, kid. Are you supposed to be out here alone? Where's your mom?
Happy birthday. We love you.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Hey, were you here a few summers ago?
No.
I think I don't know what people see gawking at me.
Freak.
Their eyes are like pinballs. Look anywhere but at the gork.
So what's the story here?
It's called Fanconi anemia. It clobbers the genes that do DNA repair. Not to mention cancer, just breathing down their necks.
I love you
His mother, Sammy,
the mostest.
she's a gladiator.
Who the hell do you think you are? Do you have a kid?
She's made out of
Because if you did, you would have never taken my son without my permission.
steel and strawberries.
You're just here for a visit. Freddie's full-time, not a roadside attraction.
Hey, I would never hurt your son.
Leave him alone.
She's been here spying on me.
That's not.
She's FBI. She uses people. I've read her file. She's dangerous.
Have you seen this one dance?
It's going where no man has gone before.
It's not her name.
You know why I think they call you special needs?
'Cause I'm all that.
No. It's not you who need us. It's all of us who need you.